You wake in the dark before dawn, the kind of quiet where your thoughts feel louder than the world. You step outside, the air cold enough to bless your lungs, and you look up. The sky has no edges. Somewhere out there, a star explodes, a galaxy turns. A pulse echoes across the fabric of everything. And under that sky, in a place where no one remembers the names, but everyone remembers the feeling, someone carved a symbol. Not a word, not a picture. A shape, a spiral, a circle, a cross, a tree. Centuries later, on the other side of the planet, in a city that also fell into dust, someone else carved the same shape. Different gods, different songs, same symbol. Why? Hold that question. Don't rush it. You've felt this before. The sense that something is repeating beneath your life, beneath history, beneath the stories we tell ourselves to sleep at night. We pretend everything is new, everything is ours, but the bones of the world keep telling us a secret. We've been here before. Not exactly, but close. Close enough that the symbols are still whispering. The spiral weaves through the stones of Celtic graves and the shells of ocean creatures and the code written inside your body. The circle crowns pharaohs and births calendars and returns every evening on the horizon, whether you believe in it or not. The cross cuts the world into four and forces you to admit there's a meeting place between the seen and the unseen. The tree rises where myth and biology agree, roots in darkness, branches in light, a trunk that says both are true at the same time. So again, why did every civilization find the same shapes and call them sacred? Maybe because the universe refuses to speak in sentences. It speaks in patterns. It speaks in repetition so deep you stop noticing until it grabs your attention by the throat. It speaks in spirals and circles because truth isn't a straight line. Truth loops back to touch itself. It speaks in crosses because every path intersects something it cannot avoid. It speaks in trees because life is not a ladder. It's a living map. Down to remember, up to become. Maybe there were no meetings between those civilizations. Maybe the meeting happened where it always happens, inside the human nervous system, when it finally sits still long enough to see what is always there. But listen closer. The symbols aren't just reflections of nature, they are contracts. The spiral says, "You will not escape growth without returning to what you resisted." The circle says, "Every ending is written as a beginning awaiting your recognition." The cross says, "You can only meet yourself at the intersection where your desire crosses your limits." The tree says, "The fruit falls because gravity wants you rooted and skyward." These shapes don't decorate reality, they enforce it. That's why they survived the burning of libraries and the collapse of empires, because even when the storytellers vanish, the structure of reality keeps retelling the same story with or without permission. Now pause on the spiral, because this is where people either wake up or walk away. The spiral is not just art, it's a law of unfolding. You think progress is a staircase, but you keep meeting the same problem wearing a different face. Addiction becomes workaholism, becomes perfectionism, becomes spiritual bypassing, and you swear you're new, but the pattern says otherwise. A spiral teaches you growth is cyclical plus forward. You return, but not as the same person. You see the wound again, but from a higher balcony. You keep climbing by revisiting what you avoid. That's why the ancients cut spirals into stone, to remind the descendants they would one day be that avoiding the lesson costs more than paying it. Now the circle. The circle is the promise that time doesn't just move, it turns. We celebrate our birthdays not because we like cake, but because the circle pulls us back to the point where we take stock. What did we bring with us? What did we let go? The circle is the wedding ring and the solar halo and the drum loop that pulls the body into trance. It's why rituals have beginnings and returns. It's why grief comes in waves. It's why love returns in forms you didn't recognize until it knocked twice. The circle doesn't ask for belief, it demands attention. Either you honor the cycles or you become their casualty. The cross, before it became a flag of nations and stories of salvation, was a compass hidden in plain sight. North-south, east-west, matter and meaning. Horizontal is the life you can measure, vertical is the life you can feel. The intersection is where you stop pretending you can live one without the other. That's where decisions become consecrations. That's where your job stops being a paycheck and starts being an altar. That's where relationships stop being entertainment and start being initiation. Every civilization cut this shape because every human life faces the same corner. Will you align your visible actions with your invisible convictions? That's the crucible. That's the cross. And the tree. If the spiral is how, and the circle is when, and the cross is where, the tree is who. The tree is a biography of becoming, roots, ancestry, shadow, memory, the contracts you didn't know you signed. Trunk, discipline, habit, daily motion, the humble repetition that turns desire into form. Branches, possibility, risk, the reach into the unknown. Leaves, perception, change, seasons of shedding the identities you outgrew. Fruit, consequence, offering, the proof of a life that metabolized chaos into nourishment. Every civilization loved the tree because it explained life without a lecture. Just look at it. It's all there. Endurance without stagnation. Growth without arrogance. Depth without despair. Reach without denial. So, why the same symbol everywhere? Because the world is a teacher that refuses to localize its curriculum. If you breathe, you're enrolled. If you suffer, you're studying. If you love, you're graduating in installments. The symbols are the study guide. No empire owns them because no empire outruns them. We inherit them the way we inherit a heartbeat. We don't choose them, we discover we've had them all along.
Here's the turn most people miss. The symbols didn't survive because they were beautiful. They survived because they worked. They are technologies, not silicon and screens, interfaces for meaning. The spiral is a protocol for healing. Revisit, reframe, reintegrate. The circle is a protocol for rites. Initiate, endure, renew. The cross is a protocol for alignment. Name, choose, sacrifice. The tree is a protocol for mastery. Root, build, reach, offer. When ancient artists carved, they weren't decorating. They were coders creating user interfaces for reality that don't require electricity. You can test this in your life today. Watch your spiral. Where do you keep returning? Not because you failed, but because the lesson is sized to your destiny, not your convenience. Watch your circle. What season are you pretending you're not in? Summer productivity in winter silence is how people burn out. Watch your cross. What decision stands at the intersection of your honesty and your comfort? That's the one that changes you. Watch your tree. What root needs feeding before you ask your branches to carry more weight? The symbols are diagnostic tools. Ignore them, and you will read your life in pain. Learn them, and you will read your life in pattern. This is the part where some of you feel a resistance, a tightening in the chest that says, "This is too simple." That's the mind wanting complexity to protect the ego from responsibility. Symbols democratize wisdom. They make truth portable. They put sacred power in the hands of anyone who can pay attention. That threatens hierarchies. That threatens the part of you that prefers excuses to thresholds. But look at history. Whenever a civilization forgets its symbols, it starts worshiping smaller gods, money, novelty, certainty. Whenever a civilization remembers, it invents art that gives courage again. The difference between decline and renewal often begins with whether people choose to see patterns or only events. There's a darker implication, and you need to hear it. The same symbols that heal can be weaponized. Spiral can become addiction to self-help loops that never require action. Circle can become rut disguised as tradition. Cross can become punishment without transformation. Tree can become credentialism without fruit. Every symbol has a shadow. That's why wisdom requires guardianship. You don't just use a symbol, you earn it by the way you live what it asks of you. The ancients didn't put these shapes on every surface because they were bored. They did it to reduce the odds their descendants would forget the terms of being human. Now breathe. Feel your ribs move like branches. Notice your pulse turn like a circle. Watch your thoughts unfurl like a spiral, returning, refining. Sense that you stand at a cross where today's choice meets tomorrow's fate. Everything the ancients sanctified is happening inside you right now. You are not outside the temple, you are the temple. And when you remember that, you stop begging the world for meaning and start carrying it. There's a reason the same symbol appears in caves, on crowns, in manuscripts, on flags, in markets, in prayer rooms, in the margins of notebooks, in the tattoos of people who overcame. We keep redrawing because drawing is remembering. We trace the line to retell the story to the nervous system. You are safe enough to grow. You are strong enough to shed. You are brave enough to choose. You are generous enough to offer. The pattern becomes a promise. The promise becomes a practice. The practice becomes a personality. Then one morning you wake and realize the symbol isn't something you look at, it's how you move. And it moves in you beyond language. The spiral says, keep going, you're returning to rise. The circle says, rest, renewal is not laziness. The cross says, decide, freedom requires a form. The tree says, give, abundance is proof of rootedness. When these commands become instinct, life stops feeling random. Even chaos becomes a curriculum. Even heartbreak becomes an apprentice piece, shaping your hands to hold more gently. Even success becomes an altar where gratitude keeps you honest. So why did every civilization draw the same symbol? Because truth doesn't localize. Because reality refuses to split itself into tribes. Because under different weather, different gods, different alphabets, different rulers, we share a nervous system attuned to pattern. We learned to listen, then we forgot, then we remembered again. That's the cycle. That's the circle inside the spiral. We didn't inherit the symbols from our ancestors like relics. We inherit them from the structure of existence that produces ancestors at all. Carry this with you. The symbol isn't a superstition, it's a survival skill. When you feel lost, look for the spiral. What old lesson is back because you're ready for a deeper version? When you feel stuck, look for the circle. What season are you pretending you're not in? When you feel torn, look for the cross. What decision stands at the intersection of your honesty and your comfort? That's the one that changes you. When you feel hungry for meaning, look for the tree. What root needs water so your life can fruit without forcing? Do this, and you become the kind of person who doesn't need to prove wisdom. It becomes visible in the way people feel safer around you. The ancients engraved these shapes for you without knowing your name. They believed someone would come after them who could read the same sky and hear the same whisper. That someone is you, here, now. standing at the edge of an old story, finally ready to turn toward what you already know. The symbol is not behind you in a museum. It is ahead of you as a path, beside you as a friend, within you as a compass. And if the question still lingers, why did every civilization draw the same symbol? Let it linger, like a drumbeat under a long journey. Not because there is no answer, but because answers that matter must be lived to be understood. Step into your spiral. Honor your circle. Stand at your cross. Grow your tree. Then watch what happens when your life becomes the message the symbols were trying to deliver all along.